Hey everyone, my name is Urban Bradesco, and I'm super pleased to introduce today's guest, Christopher Herrick. Quick intro on Chris: CG Soup on Godzilla x Kong, CG Build Supervisor on Rings of Power Season 2, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Peter Pan, many more, key artist lead on Moonfall, Deadpool, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and many more, but you can always check his website for full bio. Today, Christopher will share what he will teach in his new workshop, all about high-end AAA studio quality, character, design, and creation. It's a super broad workshop that fully utilizes Christopher's wide skill stack, from concept art to modeling to sculpting to creating procedural eye setups with particle simulations in Houdini to lighting rendering in compositing. Chris is a one-man army. So that's all for me. Let's jump straight into the webinar. Okay, so Christopher, first I want to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and the people and all the new people that are gonna acquire this knowledge. Like we have a saying at DoubleJump, together we jump twice as high. And the reason for that saying is, you really need people like yourself that are sharing this knowledge and kind of uplifting everybody else. So thank you for sharing the knowledge, and thank you for your time and being with me here today.
You're welcome. I learned a lot from other people who were nice enough to share knowledge as well.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, and I'm happy to share what I've learned and what I've developed. So that's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the way we can start this is if you can do a quick intro on yourself, almost like a elevator pitch, and maybe tell us a bit. You can show your other work as well and like your experience in the industry so far. Yeah.
Let me pull something up for that. So
Nice. You worked on a lot of things, almost like everything, right?
I wouldn't say everything, but I've been very fortunate to have worked on many films that I'm proud of. And I didn't just work on them. I feel like I made a significant contribution.
Nice.
So when I'm going to the theater, I have the experience of seeing and showing my family something that I've made along with the team. But I've like made a big contribution to what we're seeing on screen.
Nice.
So
is that a 10-minute show reel?
Oh, this is the short version. Yeah, so I worked on some big creatures during the course of my career. I worked on a lot of Marvel films and DC in Aquaman. Just a lot of visually, just really, really fascinating stuff. So I think I've been very fortunate in that regard, both as an artist and a supervisor. I've supervised teams all over the planet on different continents. For this show, this is Godzilla and Kong. I supervised artists in India and London and Montreal and Vancouver. So just working with people all over the world, Australia.
Yeah, it's usually like the biggest. A lot of people ask me, like, on a big movie like that, when you have multiple vendors, how do you keep that consistent quality? That's probably big chunk of your job, right? Like, so everything looks the same, even though like multiple different teams, different studios are working on it.
Yeah, and this was a collaboration with Weta and Scanline. So Scanline was Godzilla, and then Weta was Kong. So we worked closely with them, and we pass assets back and forth.
Yeah. Who would do the rendering if you have two different vendors like that? Who renders? Is like Veta rendering Godzilla and Scanline is rendering Kong, or how does that work?
We don't do that. It's shot based. So each vendor has their own shots. Now, it's conceivable that you can have a shot, and we'll see one coming up, where it's actually two different vendors rendering it. But that's very unusual.
By the way, I know these things. I'm just asking them. So, because probably people are wondering.
Yeah, of course. Now there's a shot with ILM that's for Aquaman where you start off underwater and then we go above water and we pick it up. That's pretty unusual. Usually, each vendor has their own shots and siloed like so. There's a shot right before this where we shared it. But that's unusual. This is for Aquaman.
Was there a reason for you guys to do it that way, even though it's unusual?
It just made sense. You know, we in VFX there's rules, but we also do what makes sense. That's kind of the overlying rule. And in that kind of rare situation, it made sense because they had all of that underwater stuff ready to go. So sending it all to us did not make sense, right?
Yep.
So we picked it up after we surfaced. I love these films. I got to work on both of them, which is pretty cool. This is a butterfly that I've made.
It's a good-looking butterfly.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun to work with. Just a blast. There was a lot of creative freedom on this show.
Yeah.
These were giant grasshoppers. This is a big creature. And these are challenging because there's so many of them. And all this vegetation that they interact with.
So how much time does it usually take for like one asset? I know it depends a lot, but just like a ballpark number. Let's say the butterfly. How long would that take to make?
The butterfly, I don't know. I would say between 3 and 6 weeks.
Just for the butterfly, like for the asset itself?
Yeah, and a lot of the work is condensed, but then things kind of sort of get extended because making improvements and getting things into shot and making interesting client notes and things like that. So what you find is like a lot of the actual work goes fairly quickly, but then the overall time of the asset kind of gets extended. This grasshopper took a long time because we went through so many iterations. We realized that at some point that green grasshoppers are the same color as everything else.
It's hard to see them.
James Wan, the director of this, we decided to explore other color options. So we went for all different shades of grasshoppers, from blue to red to just everything. And then we came back to green at the end. We stuck with that.
There you go. full circle. A lot of wasted time.
It's not used.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wasted. It's a part of the creative process.
Yeah. My whole mantra is fail forward fast. So you just have to get the bad stuff out of the way. It's not even bad. Like you said, it's not wasted time. It's just you have to go through the iterations of peeling, the onion until you get to the actual core, and that just sometimes takes time. And yeah, sometimes you come full circle back to where you started, but at least then that was the right decision, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. This is Peter Pan and Wendy. This is pretty exciting to be a part of a Disney project. And this was mostly working on a ship. And one of the greatest things about my job and about VFX is you are always doing something different. At least I am, so it just never get bored. There's lots of sculpting sails and creating all these wood mass pieces.
Do you prefer supervising or actually working on the shots? Like actually opening programs and like.
I like both. I'm a very hands-on supervisor, and I do get bored if I'm not actually making anything. But that's a part of why I've done personal projects for the last couple years. So that's a way for me to really stay interested and fresh, and like excited about my career. So I think personal projects are extremely important for artists. And it's hard to do because people get tired. But you have to just get in the habit of doing an hour a day after work or doing something on the weekends.
Yeah.
I think that benefits people's career tremendously.
How do you then manage? A lot of people experienced burnout in the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming you had that experience yourself as well, but how did you kind of manage that? Because if you do, a lot of studio work and then you come home, a lot of people, especially VFX, like FX artists,
yeah,
they're like, just leave me alone on the weekends. I don't want to do any extra work. But then, yes, you don't grow as fast as an artist, but it's a mix, right? It's like very difficult to pull it off.
Yeah, and that's totally legit. Like, I understand people wanting to have their own free time and separate work. And there's a lot of value to that as well. But for me, when I started doing personal work, so I started working on these creatures and characters. And this was partly in response to how I was feeling about the industry. Right? Because things were, tumultuous, right? Or how there were a lot of things going on. And my way to deal with that was to get back to doing something that I love, which is creating art. And that is something that I think I would like to share with people.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a lot of value in just creating your artwork. And we're very lucky to be working as artists. So having that kind of outlet creatively is really cool.
Yeah, I find it that as long as you have passion, it's hard to burn out if you don't have. If you have passion, it's hard to burn out. The burnout happens when you lose the passion, right? So in a way, coming home and working on your own art after work is actually the antidote in a way that keeps you passionate about working and doing art. But it is more work, but I do think if you can maintain that fire inside of you, but maintain is the key word. You have to flame it, you have to put more wood inside, and as long as the fire is alive, you don't really get burned out. So a lot of people, I feel like, lose that because they don't do personal work. And in a way, that is kind of the key, to do more work, but to do meaningful work for yourself, right?
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun. It is work, but if you get used to it enough, and that's part of being a professional, is you do this all the time. It doesn't always feel like work.
Yeah.
Like I have a new character I'm doing now, and I'm you get excited about it. Like it's not always this kind of grueling thing. Like I have to work. We're not out there digging trenches or
yeah, it's not a real job.
It's like, yeah, some people have never had a real job. Like I had hard jobs when I was out of high school and college.
Me too. Yeah, I worked in I don't know how you call it. It's like I was like stacking wood panels all like for like a few months just to earn enough money to buy myself a computer. Like that was a hard job. I was like, I don't get, because people were there working there for years, right? At that place. And I was like, I do not understand how I would die. I'm not built for like actual like hard labor jobs like that. So I'm also very kind of, yeah, I feel like we're very lucky that we're able to do stuff like that.
I worked as a cook or a chef.
Oh, that's cool though. That's kind of being an artist, right?
It is, yeah. It can be very artistic, but it's also grueling, right? Like you're working from it's like 2 or 3 p.m. until like 1 a.m.
Yeah,
and you're just going nonstop, and that's a tough job.
it is a tough job. Yeah, you're on your feet all the time. It's probably hot, sweating in the same room with like 10 or 15 people. That yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it's
hard.
very, very tough.
Yeah, sweet. Well, uh, what are we looking at here? So this is one of your personal works, but it's also
This is Kika.
yeah, Kika.
It's
But
very, very important to name characters. Yeah, I think some people overlook that, but I would
that's
like
true.
to introduce you to Kika. This is
Wow, that's so cool. Like the details on this, it's insane. And the eye, like it feels like it's three-dimensional.
that's fantastic that you say that. So the eye was just a lot of fun to make.
Yeah.
I'll show you the eye in Houdini.
Yeah, you can feel that it has depth, which is so important, right? Like that's hard to get right. But you can definitely feel it. It's also funny that you are that you know Houdini, even though you're like
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't want to label you, but you're like a character artist that does that like sculpting and stuff, and like but then you also do like hard surface modeling, like the ship. But then you open up Houdini and you do these systems, and I'm like, who is this guy?
I think I'm one of the only people that does this.
Yep.
And I have a story about it. But yes, the eye is 3D, and that's that sense of depth is what I was really going for. So I've grown this in Houdini using a particle system.
Oh, no way. Oh, okay.
And we'll show that quite a bit during our course.
Yeah.
I'm excited to share it. We'll see if this plays well. Yeah, here we go. So this is our particle system, and it actually is pretty fast. So we're growing these kind of fibers that make up the iris.
Yeah.
And then dragging curves behind them.
That's such an interesting approach. I would do it procedurally, but that's so interesting. Yeah, that solving problems like that with simple particle simulations.
Yeah,
it looks so good.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to do for a while. I wanted to do this with Godzilla. But when you're in production in a studio, this is very difficult because you have to render curves, and you have to somehow get this into shots and rigged and things like that, and you have to go through different departments in a pipeline. So it didn't quite happen for that show, but I kind of figured it out here.
So how would you do it for Godzilla? Would it be just hand sculpted or like a more procedural system?
Well, usually in VFX, its eyes are pretty basic.
So just a texture.
There's just kind of simple geo with textures on it for an iris. Then you have cornea, and there's a mask that reveals transparency where the cornea is.
But that's usually still, like, especially for big creatures, and usually there is a close-up in a movie on like Kong or Godzilla. Is that eye, would it be rigged? Because then you do have to expand the iris and the cornea. Like it does move, right?
Yeah, like the pupil gets bigger and smaller.
So
that's another challenge with this. You had to rig it. But there's basic eyes in VFX, and then a more upgraded eye would be something that was sculpted in ZBrush. But when you look at an eye, and it's always good to look at reference. So when you look at something like this, what we're seeing here, it doesn't really look like something you would make in ZBrush. This looks a lot more like a groom. Right? And that sense of depth and all these fibers, that's the inspiration for the Houdini setup that I just showed you. Right, is getting this kind of structure.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I think I can improve it more. this was kind of a quick thing to do,
Uh-huh.
but I think it worked, right? So going back to our renders, like this, I think adds a lot of life to the character.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was kind of the first thing I noticed. Everything else is great, but because the eye is bigger, like almost like out of like Alita Battle Angel type, big. That's kind of the focal point, and
Yeah, she has very large eyes, so I could not slack on those.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about Houdini just a bit.
Hmm.
So just going back to my sort of journey in VFX, I was a build artist, right? So I loved Maya. I've always used Maya. But there came a point during Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we were designing the quantum realm.
Uh-huh.
So this is the quantum realm in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And the clients, Marvel, had no idea what they wanted.
Classic.
It was they filmed Michael Douglas on a stage with some grout. Nice. And there were some styrofoam rocks, and that was it. And they tasked us to create this entire world. And this became very pivotal in the entire story of the Avengers. So it was a really exciting thing to be a part of. And again, we had absolutely no idea what we're doing. We had all these different concepts. We were working with a concept artist in LA. And I was in Vancouver at the time, and we would receive concept art every single day.
Uh-huh.
And we would do our own things as well, our own concepts. And it was just a small kind of crack team of people working on this.
Was it Ash Thorpe who did the concepts for this?
No, it was sorry, I'll have to find the name. It's
We'll put the name on, or I'll just edit this out. But I know Ash Thorpe did a few concepts, but I'm not sure to what extent he was involved. But
there was a particular guy we were working with. I think his name was Steven.
Ah, okay.
But we would receive concept art, every single day, and we would do our own things, or we just as kind of a small kind of creative team. Mm-hmm. And I was working in Maya doing this kind of stuff. So I designed we call these the sky tubes. Mm-hmm. These sort of undulates, and I designed the tube and the motion for them, and I animated them, the shot. But the overall look of it, I felt like I was getting left out because I was doing things in Maya, and there came a point when I was like, okay, this is going to proceed in Houdini, and I didn't know Houdini at the time, and I felt left out.
Yeah,
I like that. During the show, we lit this in Mantra. So I jumped in and volunteered to do lighting for this. So I lit some of these shots as well, and that was my sort of opportunity to learn Houdini on the job. And I think learning Houdini for lighting is not too hard. It's a really easier way to do it. And from there, I just became more and more interested in it, and I found more and more things that I could do in Houdini rather than Maya.
Yep.
Because at first I was like, I can do anything in Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to realize just the power of Houdini and the proceduralism and the node graph.
Yeah.
And I loved node graphs already from Nuke.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very familiar with that way of working.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helped me a lot, jumping into Houdini.
100%. People have a hard time grasping the nodes. We are very similar in that regard, where we just jump into a program. Like if you feel that you're not being left out, but you're like, oh, I need to learn this program so I can contribute and do my work. And then you just open it up and you learn it.
Yeah.
I did something similar, but in reverse. So originally I was working at Access Studios, and I was the FX artist there. But because I had a background in cinematography, I used to do a lot. I would comment on cameras and how things are blocked and and lighting as well. So then they were like, "Oh, so you do want to supervise layout as well?" And I was like, "Oh, heck yeah!" But I didn't know how to use Maya, so like I had to learn Maya in like 2 weeks. Go, yeah. So I opened Maya. I was like, "Okay, how do we do this? Oh shit, okay, we need to go on a mocap shoot. Okay, how do I clean up mocap data?" So you just have to open it up. You start learning. But it was more painful because I would prefer that the whole pipeline was in Houdini versus in Maya felt a bit stiff in some areas. But yes, the same but opposite. Yeah, 100%.
We don't completely get rid of Maya. Like Maya is still very, very solid for modeling, right? So for organic modeling
or animation.
Yeah, animation, rigging is still done in Maya. Lots of things. And during the course, we'll definitely spend a lot of time in Maya.
Yes.
But Houdini is great for all kinds of cool stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
You could do something like this in Maya, right? Like you could use XGen. But I, love Houdini for this because it's so procedural.
Yep.
The things that were made for her. So also her costume.
Mm-hmm.
So her costume was grown in a very similar way. Houdini's great good cloth and clothing. And then also for groom. Houdini's aiding groom tool.
Yeah.
So things like splashes, air.
Side Effects is really trying to be the main powerhouse. So they're also implementing a lot of animation tools now. With Solaris, they're trying to make it into your primary kind of layout tool as well. So they're firing on a lot of fronts. But for me, like,
there's still people that are surprised about that. Like they think of Houdini as an effects program.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, it's the leading groom tool, and it's definitely the best tool for lighting with it. Like hands down.
The thing is, you can make your own tools. That's what makes it the most powerful. Like every studio, you would go in a studio and they're like, "Oh, you have your own." It's almost like building programs inside of a program. You can, if something doesn't exist, you can just be like, "Okay, I'll just build a whole new pipeline for grooming or character effects inside of Houdini, even if the tools don't exist yet."
And it's very artist friendly. Like you don't have to know how to code to build effects.
Yeah.
You can literally just drag and drop stuff from a parameter to a subnet.
Yep.
And your own tools.
Indeed.
It's really powerful. There's a lot of character related stuff that's just really awesome in Houdini.
So you did the grooming as well in Houdini, I'm assuming, and
yes, and also scattering things, right? So she has these little mushrooms on her head, which are a lot of fun. If you look at our render here, so these are all done procedurally.
Nice.
So scattering points, building a simple kind of mushroom geometry, and then copying those to curves.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested in learning Houdini as a build artist, that is something that is extremely beneficial to getting a job. So I would highly recommend that. There's a lot of competition right now in the job market.
Yeah.
And if an artist knows Houdini, that definitely puts him a step ahead. So, yeah, 100%. I really like to meet people. Like when we look at these images, what we're seeing here is the accumulation of different disciplines. So we have concept art, we have modeling, we have texture, with sculpting, groom, procedural modeling, and then look depth. So it's all these things together, combined to make these images.
And you did everything from scratch, right? Like day one, you were like, this is the concept. Are you also good with drawing, or are you more of a 3D person?
I'm more of a 3D person, but I do sketching
Mm-hmm.
and drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And I go over that in the course where we talk about concept art.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a sketch that I've done here in my sketchbook.
Okay, so you're pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I do enjoy sketching.
Yeah.
And it's a good kind of creative skill to train your sense of aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will very strongly recommend for anyone taking this course is to sketch for at least 15 minutes a day.
Yep.
And yeah, we go over some different concept art methods
Mm-hmm.
in the course. And I think this is important because a lot of build artists aren't good at drawing. I found so it can be a little hard to find a concept to make.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I go over some different methods here. Making friends with a concept artist is it's one.
Mm-hmm.
But sketching is another one, and there's some different things here. But I want to emphasize that I don't want people to copy this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody to watch this course and try to just make this, right? Because that's not going to help anyone as an artist. You can't get a job that way, right? Like you show something that isn't really your work.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's an artist has to be able to create their own stuff. That's the thing. So the goal of this course is not to create Kika. It is to go through the entire process. Like I recorded the entire process of making her. And the idea is to learn concepts from that. Right. So we're not just watching the tutorial and just kind of, going over, settings, right? Or just studying settings or, use this brush or whatever. What we're learning is concepts.
Yeah.
And the concepts can be applied to your own work as an artist. That's the fundamental.
Yeah. The way I try to explain it to people, and this is, I guess, it's kind of universal advice, is when we were talking about cooking.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to become a chef. The first step usually is just recreate the recipe. Do follow the recipe step by step. So you get your first dish, but that's not a dish you would proudly serve in your Michelin star, restaurant. To get the star, in this case, a job, you need to, yes, do the dish, but do it with your own twist. You have to make it unique to you. You have to present it in a way that's unique. You have to add ingredients or remove ingredients that are new and unique. So that's kind of how I try to explain it to people. But yes, if you're a complete beginner, usually it's good to, if you want to make your first omelet, you do follow the recipe. So you have your basic omelet done and you're like, okay, good. What can I change? How can I improve it? Right.
There's recipes in Houdini now.
I know. Yeah. There you go.
The recipe right here.
Yeah.
They get it. That's very important. That's the difference between being a technical artist and being a creative artist.
Yep.
Really, just if we remove the word artist, like you're either a technician or a craftsman. Right? I think those mean the same thing. Or you're a creative. Right. So if someone's a creative, it means that they are creating something that doesn't exist in the world. Someone who's a technician or a craftsman, they can look at a reference image, right, or a piece of concept art, and they can reproduce that, right? So there's value in both of those things, right? There's value in a technician or a craftsman. But I think there's a lot higher value. There's much higher value in being a creative. And people who are just technicians are having a hard time finding a job now.
Yeah.
Because there is more competition there.
Yep.
So I would highly encourage artists to be creative. That's the thing. Even if your job as a build artist entails recreating concepts that you hit from clay, there's always things in the concept art that are not defined. And there's always directors that change their mind and want something different. And when I'm hiring somebody, I always want somebody that can fill in those blanks, and they need to have skill for that.
Yeah.
So when I look at somebody's portfolio and they have, just a bunch of stuff that is from a photograph or exactly making a concept, or the worst thing is fan art. Fan art just screams, I have no creative ability. I'm just going to copy what someone else has done. That's the most kind of student thing to have in a portfolio.
Making the omelet. That's the omelet part.
Yeah.
That's how you know where they're at. They're like, okay, you made the omelet, good. What else can you cook?
Omelet favorite. Yeah, so I think there's just so many things to go over about this course. We're gonna kind of go through step by step. So I've sort of, in a lot of the course material, we go over the different stages of this, right? So we have concept, model, sculpt, texture, groom, and look dev. So this is definitely geared towards someone who wants to either master or become proficient in all of these things. But I want to emphasize that you don't have to do that as an artist. I would say most people who work in studios are specialists. That's not always true. The studio I work at now is a generalist studio. But regardless, if you're a specialist or a generalist, those are both legitimate career paths. But it's incredibly beneficial to learn all of these things, because that's even if you're a specialist, even if you're just a texture artist, if you know about look dev, like I would say that's essential, because if you're a texture artist and you don't know about look dev, there's no way that you're going to fit into a team.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're a groom artist, like, you have to know about modeling.
100%.
Right? Otherwise, you're just not going to understand geometry and even things like rigging and CFX.
Yep.
Like, those are very important to understand. So this is a generalist kind of course, but
from a specialist. You're a specialist in all things, but you're very unique. Like, not a lot of people are.
For me personally,
yeah, like you are. So I kind of call this, like in video games when you have like certain skill stacks, like let's say you play Tony Hawk, and it's like how and in Tony Hawk you have like, okay, what is your ollie? How high can you jump, right? What is your kickflip ability? And you have like points, right? That's how I see things. And your skill stack is like like you're almost maxed out in all of them, and you're like a generalist, but like a specialist in almost all of them, which is very, very unique. But a lot of people have, like what you were saying, is good to have like a lot of points in a lot of different areas, but like have one that is kind of yours specialty. That's how usually people work. I'm very similar to that. Like I have a lot of points like quite high up, but that's because I'm so, like, it bothers me if I don't know things. So I become like over obsessive, and then I go really deep into a topic. But I see this with FX artists, like specifically, people doing FX in Houdini. They don't know how to comp. And as soon as I'm like, oh, if you don't know how to comp, that means you don't know how to render. But if you don't know how to do that, then how do you know how to make something look good? Because a lot of effects are actually like the last, sometimes even 50% is done in comp, And if you don't know which passes to export to render, then you don't really know which passes to actually create, especially if it's a magical effect. So
Yeah.
that's what essentially I was just trying to kind of mirror it to, if you're a visual effects artist, to what you were saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it, I want to emphasize though that it is a lot of work, and it's a there's a lot of people that can spend their entire careers mastering one of these things.
100%. Yeah.
And that's totally fine. But on the other hand, at least having sort of sufficient knowledge
Mm-hmm.
of other disciplines around you in the pipeline, I think is good.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, like knowing Nuke is is great for I think effects artists.
Yep.
Um, but if someone does really just want to focus on one of these things, it is okay. You can still take the course, and I'll talk about that in some of the intro videos on how to use this course.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do just want to do texture, or you just want to really just focus on groom, you can use the course, but we would need to get you an asset
Mm-hmm.
to work on. So that is definitely possible to do it that way. But we'll try to work with any artist that wants to follow that path.
Yeah.
And I think the course is very customizable, right? So we're gonna like no creature or character is the same, right? So the path that you would take for a humanoid character like this is a little different, at least, than what you would take for a dragon,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if somebody wants to make a dragon for this course, that's totally cool. Like, this is a creature and character modeling course. It's not just making a humanoid character, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be a dragon. I go over some different types of characters that you can brainstorm about.
Nice.
So it could be a dragon. It could be anything that someone can think of. And I think the concepts in this course can apply to any of those characters or creatures. So that's a really fun part for me, and I'm excited to see what people want to make and what they come up with.
Yep.
I also want to make this somewhat software agnostic, right? So that means that we're not so concerned with tools. Again, we're concerned with concepts. So I've used tools that I think are the best right now for VFX. They're the most sort of cutting edge. They're things I use in studio all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're tools used by the biggest studios, right? And the most renowned. But if you want to use a different tool, I think that's totally fine for the course as well. So I've given some examples here, and I have a video where for the course where I talk about this more.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if somebody wants to use Blender, like it's totally okay. Or if they want to render in Maya, that's fine.
Yeah.
So the course is really all about concepts.
Nice.
Developing skills, and not just watching tutorials for fun, but actually applying those concepts to an artist's own work.
Mm-hmm. But so in the course, I'm assuming, do you show your way of working? So when you're modeling or sculpting, how do you show that process? Because it takes a long time. Like I'm assuming you're not showing each individual stroke in ZBrush.
No, I think I'm tempted to do that because I like long form videos, but that would be probably over 100 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's beneficial to condense things like that, and there's different ways to do that. Right. So a lot of the ZBrush work is sped up. But I think that's actually good because you can see in a more condensed way how the sculpting process, goes. But then I also try to slow down at certain times and really focus on If there's a particular thing that really matters, we can slow down and focus on that.
Uh-huh.
And also try to kind of stop and explain certain things. But there's also kind of a flow, right? So when we're sculpting in ZBrush, um, what I love is just watching people sculpt and putting on some music and
Uh-huh.
vibing. So I would encourage people to do that, and just like, this should be a lot of fun and it should be enjoyable.
Uh-huh.
So I would encourage people to just kind of get in that kind of creative vibe, and yeah, just you can sort of glean knowledge from what I've done, and then just kind of get in that zone yourself where you can sculpt and
Uh-huh.
build and create and just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of the only way, because it's almost like if you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, right? You can literally watch
There won't be
like
any injuries in this course,
yeah, yeah.
unless I don't think anyone needs to wear a helmet. No, waiting
Yeah,
for an
don't
explosion.
yeah, don't do this at home. It's uh, but it's like if you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, the only way to actually do it is to go on the bike, and maybe you're gonna fall down a few times and scratch. There's gonna be a few scratches along the way, but
No.
there's you won't be able to learn how to ride a bike by just watching someone. Even if you read all the books and watch all the workshops on riding a bike, you'll still not be able to ride the bike until you actually go on the damn bike. So I see that a lot in people that are just like, they just watch tutorials, and they, instead of doing on the side, or like, sure, okay, watch the tutorial, but then close the tutorial down and start experimenting on your own. And maybe in the beginning it's going to be a bit painful, because you're like,
Yeah.
like, but where's that button? And then it is a bit painful when you don't know your way around the program. But once you get that technical bits out of the way, then it's all about, yeah, just hopping into that, just riding the wave, like being in the zone and having fun, I think is the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that too. Like, I love watching tutorials and stuff, but at some point, yeah, you gotta just turn it off and do your own work.
Yeah. You just need a good mix of both. Because if you're just watching tutorials, that's kind of like mental masturbation. It's almost like you think you're learning, but not really. The real test
There's a
is,
limit, yeah.
yeah, yeah. The test is, okay, I watched this. Let me try to immediately recreate it, because that puts the information into your long-term memory, where your brain can actually process it. That's why I feel like a lot of um, the masterclass workshops, like masterclass.com,
Yeah.
like I don't learn a lot from them. Like watching, uh, they just don't cover any serious information. It feels like I'm learning. I'm like, oh, James Cameron is teaching filmmaking, and I'm like, oh, Martin Scorsese is like teaching you filmmaking, and then I watch the workshop, and I'm like, they didn't really show or taught me anything. Yeah, I just got a few dopamine hits from it, because I'm, yeah, so James Cameron is showing me, like, but it's not really learning. It's just like,
Yeah, it's more entertainment.
it's more entertainment. Yeah, yeah.
I have seen that a lot now on YouTube as well.
Uh-huh.
When I was learning VFX, YouTube wasn't really a thing yet.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to imagine, but like in the 2000s, like, you couldn't really go on YouTube that much and find tutorials on how to do stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually learned going to a bookstore. We used to have these things called bookstores that
A book?
had
What is that?
books in them. Yeah, and there were actually books on Maya. Believe it or not, and that's how I learned initially. But I think eventually YouTube did kind of start to take off.
Uh-huh.
But what I've seen on YouTube is that if if somebody actually tries to kind of slow down and explain something, they get punished by the algorithm.
Yeah.
And what's rewarded is this kind of speed talking, almost disc jockey like behavior that you see
Yeah.
a lot, where there's no gaps in anyone's speech. It's just 100%
Just more entertainment.
blabbing,
Yeah.
and um, it's kind of okay for some things, but if you actually want to learn something, like it's just not the best. Like,
Yeah.
we need more of a calm way of presenting information.
Yeah. It's interesting. I actually did a few tutorials back in the day that one of them got 1.3 million views.
That's pretty good.
And it's a 3-hour tutorial, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah. And I think the reason why it went, I guess, viral in our industry is because it was actually showing like the full process. It was like very slow. It wasn't hyped up. I was just like, okay, guys, this is gonna buckle up. I'm gonna be, and I did it in one go, like just 3 hours of explaining like a very complicated project in Houdini.
Yes.
And then people were just like, oh, this is great. And, we gave away the project files as well, so people could follow on the side if they wanted to, or you can just listen to me for 3 hours. But I was kind of surprised that it did that well, given the issue that you kind of exposed with the algorithm, because it is counterintuitive. People prefer to be, like almost entertained. It's like, what's the...
I think it's gotten markedly worse in the past like few years.
Yeah.
I don't know when you released that, but I think now it's hard.
Yeah. It was like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's entertainment. That's what's kind of what the algorithm wants, but that's not the way you actually learn. And sometimes, like we have a few workshops that are over 60 hours long.
That's great.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to take, probably if somebody takes that workshop, it's called Film Effects from Corbin. And Corbin explains every single thing. So it's an advanced workshop, but explained for beginners, because he goes through everything, right? But yeah, it's going to take people probably like 3 or 4 months to finish it. But if you go through the whole thing, that's how you actually learn. It just takes time. Yeah, there's no real shortcut. Yeah.
Than being bombarded with a 10-minute video that's just kind of like, not that informative.
100%. Yeah.
But I hope that people get value out of this, and I hope it is entertaining as well. Like there's a kind of a calmer form of entertainment in watching a long form tutorial. So, but
yours is not that long, right? It's like, actually, how long is it?
I haven't added everything up at this point. I will at some point, but it's long enough. It's pretty long.
It's like 15, 20 hours, 15 hours. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
We're gonna put the videos together, because we do need to put it on the website, like how long it is. But yeah. But yes, it is.
It's a lot. It's a lot of material.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Covering this many disciplines in one course is a lot.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
And we're trying to fit it into a 10-week workshop. Right. So the idea is that someone can follow this course, and within 10 weeks, they should be able to produce a character. That's the idea, but it's challenging. This is a course that you're going to want to spend an artist is going to want to spend 8 hours a day on.
Yeah, because that's,
if not 12 or 15.
That's what I'm saying. You need to ride the bike, right? So you need to open up the program, and you have to get those 1,000 bad iterations out of the way. That's why I keep saying, like, fail forward fast. You're going to be failing, but you're going to be moving forward. And each failure brings you closer to finishing the freaking thing and learning something. Yeah.
And the pain of riding this bike and failing is, you don't skin your knee, but you produce something that looks bad.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of artists do that and they get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
And that's especially true of people who watch a lot of tutorials, because you're watching people succeed and produce things that look great. And then when you as an artist produce something that doesn't look good, it can be very discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
I want to really encourage people to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? If someone produces something that doesn't look good, that is a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Even for me, I sometimes make things that look terrible, but I've done this long enough to where I know how to fail forward from that and get to a place that looks good.
Do you have anything on your computer right now that looks horrible?
Although bad,
Yeah.
I could I'm sure I could find something. I don't know. I mean, Kyka didn't always look great. Like,
Yeah.
when you look at this, like, you're gonna see moments where she doesn't look amazing or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Is the
Definitely was starting out, like, I would produce things that look bad.
yes. I see like the concept stage it looks like an AI image. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. This was made using Midjourney.
Yeah. Is it? So I kind of want to quickly talk about AI and kind of I want to hear your kind of thoughts and opinions on it. Because
Sure.
apparently you are using it and it is useful, right? So, but
It's a tool.
but at the same time, you know how to use like 15 different programs. So where does it fit in?
Yeah. Some people hate it, some people love it, and some people. I think most people are kind of in between. I think it's a tool that can be used for artists to produce more and better work.
Mm-hmm.
You can iterate very quickly. It's extremely useful for concept art.
Yep.
But it's not the only thing in the world. If somebody thinks that they're just going to go and get some amazing concept or amazing image in 5 minutes, it doesn't really work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go over concept art, using AI is an option.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if someone doesn't have artistic skills, they're not going to get a good result this way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a shortcut to success.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I would point out is that I started doing these personal projects when Midjourney was really taking off and people were seeing all these, amazing images online. And I really wanted to prove that I could make something better than Midjourney.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did that successfully. And I think the other thing that's happened here is that initially people were very impressed with AI images.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's kind of tapered off.
Yeah, plateau.
People have really become accustomed to an AI style of image. And there's this word AI slop.
Mm-hmm.
And AI slop is pretty much 99% of what you're going to get if you use Midjourney or another program.
Yep.
So the trick is to be an artist and to be able to find those very small number of images that are useful and then use those to create something that's actually good and that isn't AI slop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that someone can do unless they're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still tremendous value in being an artist, in sketching and sculpting and painting, and everyone needs to develop their aesthetic skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody doesn't have that, it's just going to be AI slop.
Yeah, and how do you develop the artistic skill and that taste?
I think you have to listen to lots of weird music and to do things that are extraordinary. Artists are weirdos. I grew up listening to Tool, and you can't, if you want to be a successful artist, you can't just listen to ordinary music and ordinary, like like it's part of our job to be weird because people don't want to see normal stuff because it's boring. Um, so I think it's partly that, right? Like the media that you consume, and then it's also practicing your artwork, right? So part of the value of sketching every day is that this is kind of like an exercise for your brain to develop aesthetic skill.
Yeah.
I think looking at images, picking up photography is really good. Like learning how to compose an image, learning about light and shadow and form, and yeah, just all these things are required to have good taste as an artist.
So if it's kind of like
People that have bad taste, art is not subjective; it is objective.
Yeah.
There is good and bad art.
Yeah.
And it's part of our job as artists to know what's good, because that's what clients, they want good.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I agree with that 100%. Okay, so my biggest problem with AI is that, let's say I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, Hollywood is baked, it's dead because AI is going to take over. Everybody's going to be a filmmaker now. Everybody's going to be an artist, right? Everybody can make beautiful images. And I was like, yes, but you will never be an artist and you will never be a filmmaker if your journey starts with AI filmmaking or AI image generation. Because what you're doing at that point, you're not actually using your critical thinking to develop an image. You are pressing a button almost like on a slot machine. You're getting good looking images because that's the algorithm was trained that way. The only way we learn as humans is by picking up the damn bike and riding it. That's the only way. Like the way the only way to develop muscles is to go in the gym and freaking pump iron. That's the only way. You don't develop muscles by watching somebody else be in the gym, right?
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same with art. You need to sketch. You need to take on photography. You need to put in the actual work for your brain to form all of these connections. That's how you develop good taste. You just have to go through a shit ton of iterations. But you will never become an artist if you're not actually in that process, right? So the reason why I'm saying this is because since we run a school, we do get a lot of juniors and people who are kind of they're at the beginning of their artistic journey. And because of all of these AI tools, they're like, is this even worth pursuing? Right? And I'm like, well, what's the alternative? Are you okay, so the alternative is AI completely takes over and everybody's just
universal basic income and
but even if that happens, we're still nobody's going to be an artist anymore, right? Like, because there's no way you're going to become an artist and develop your taste by using these AI tools, because you're not actually creating art. It's not you actually creating it. You're essentially you're kind of just picking and choosing on a catalog. It doesn't mean you are an artist if you're just it's going to be impossible to become one that way.
Yeah, there's a very small sort of creative contribution that someone makes when they're using AI. They do have to input a prompt.
Sure.
And some people are better at that than others.
Yeah.
And there are other ways to use it as well. Like one really cool way is, you can upload an image like this and then use that as a base or
right?
Yep. you can work with it as a tool, which I think is better than just prompting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also good for reference and ideas and brainstorming and stuff like that. So there is a positive way to use AI, but it has actually gotten worse too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From what I've seen out of Midjourney is that the images made now are worse than they were a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Not even that one.
Yeah. They're more generic and less creative in terms of, because the first few versions were hallucinating so hard, you actually got some insane things that you were like, oh, this is actually very interesting. But now it's just giving you like, okay, it looks good. Lighting is good, perfect, everything, good composition, but it's not crazy in like what you were saying, like we have to like listening to Tool or these kind of like music that kind of inspire us to do something new and something that hasn't been done before, right? I feel like the first versions were kind of doing that, and now it's a bit kind of generic and like just not useful in that regard.
Yeah. I will say that AI has thrown down a challenge for artists, and it's basically said that we can't be sort of happy with a sort of mid-level status quo as artists. If we want to get people's attention and really inspire people and produce something that people think is amazing, I think the bar has to be raised by this.
Yeah.
So I mean, lots of things to think about. Part of what I was doing with these personal projects is exploring that as a tool. There's many other tools that I sort of make a list of that I want to try out, for every single project.
Yeah.
I don't just make something, for completely for fun. It's more like, what if I try this or that or this tool? So AI was on that list of tools for character work. But again, it's just one way to do things. If you just want to sketch or draw in Photoshop, those are still, I think, the most effective ways to create concept art.
I agree. And
if fellas, you want to make friends, making friends is good too.
Yeah,
making friends with the concept artists.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I try using all of these AI tools as well. I didn't have a lot of success yet, especially when I'm trying to make something custom, like something very custom and something very new or unique. That's where, like, I haven't had any real good success. But I'm also trying them out and see how they would fit in my workflow. But I feel like just if you're kind of a beginner or starting your journey, it's the only way to actually learn is to ride your bike and don't try to take shortcuts, because I feel like that's very tempting now.
I could see it being counterproductive for somebody that is just starting out. I think staying away from AI imagery might be a good idea. I think we're all kind of figuring this out, and it's all happening very quickly. So I would also encourage people just to have an open mind and figure out what works for them. And I mean, there's different reasons to do a workshop like this. There might be some people that want to do this for fun. I'm imagining most people would take a course like this because they want to get a job or have a job, but they want to, enforce their skill set and build their skills. So that's the primary thing here to focus on, I think. And building a portfolio is, I think, a big part of this as well.
Yeah.
So I really want to help people. I see a lot of bad portfolios out there. And I want to help people out when it comes to that. And it can be very intimidating to build a portfolio as a build artist. So I can offer a lot of insight on that with the course material, and then also hoping to, kind of chat with people. That's stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah. We have 3 more minutes. And then we're out.
Yeah, I mean, we can wrap it up, or I could talk all day about this stuff, but it's
Yeah. I think
maybe this is enough.
I think for this one it's going to be enough. I think we could do a follow-up actually where we do go through a few portfolios, and we can, well, you can
portfolio review.
Yeah, like do a review, but also like specifically talk about like what makes it good versus bad. Like what are you looking at? We you kind of we kind of touched on that a bit, but that could be, I think, like a separate episode that we could do at a later date.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved. You know, if somebody wants to get a job, especially like if they don't have a reel like this where there's professional work in it.
A 10-minute short reel.
Yeah, exactly. That's hard to get your foot in the door, you know, as an artist, because there's a lot of people on the market now that have this,
Yeah.
that have, professional work that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Cool. Sweet.